Hello, everyone. Welcome to our monthly recap of federal activity in the financial services sector. These are items that our team covered during the month of November, and they are some of the things that we think would be interesting for you to hear about. So I'm going to start with some items from the FTC. First of all, they issued a couple of requests for comments, and they are trying to decide whether they should begin a rulemaking process around a couple of activities that they feel may be unfair or deceptive. And specifically, they are thinking about issuing a rule that would prohibit what they refer to as junk or hidden fees. And if this sounds familiar to you, it's because we have seen something similar from the CFPB recently. So that is the first one. And then secondly, they asked for comments on whether they should do a rule that would prohibit deceptive practices around using reviews or endorsements in your advertisements. So they are seeing activity that they feel is unfair and deceptive. And they think that it might be helpful for them to have specific rules around this so that that would give them a little bit more enforcement authority. And they would like comments on both of those by January 9th. And then also from the FTC, you may remember that about a year ago, they updated their safeguards rule. And when they did that, they imposed some additional requirements on some types of organizations. They had originally said that mandatory compliance would be due by December 9th. They have now decided that it would be good to give you another 6 months. And so they have extended that mandatory compliance date to June 9th of next year. So if you're subject to that rule, it gives you a little bit of breathing room to get ready. From the Federal Reserve, we had a proposal, and they are thinking that they might publish a list on a quarterly basis of depository institutions that have access to Federal Reserve accounts or financial services. Right now, they do not publish the names of those organizations, but they think that it might be in the public interest to have that information out there. So they are proposing to do that. They would do it, as I said, quarterly. It would be anybody who has access to those accounts or services. And they would like your comments on that idea by January 17th. The CFPB issued some guidance, and this time it had to do with consumer credit reports. And basically what it said was that you are not allowed to impose any kind of obstacles on consumers that might make it difficult for them to submit allegations of inaccuracies in their credit report. So this would apply to both credit reporting agencies as well as those of you who furnish information to those agencies. So first of all, you can't do anything that makes it hard for consumers to submit those disputes. And then if you get a dispute, you are required to investigate it. That's already required by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, but apparently the CFPB is seeing some cases where organizations are not following the regulation and are not investigating these allegations of inaccuracies. So they put this guidance out there just to remind you that you can't make it hard for consumers. And when they do, unless it's frivolous or irrelevant, you do have to investigate. And then last April, the CFPB issued an announcement that they were going to start using their supervisory authority over certain non-bank persons when the CFPB feels that that organization may be engaging in behavior that is risky to consumers. So you might remember that announcement. Within that announcement, they also told us that the CFPB director is going to have the authority to publish the names of any of these organizations if the CFPB issues a final decision or an order that found that those activities were in fact risky. So what they have done now is they have given us the standards that the director is going to be using to determine whether or not to publish those organizations' names. So if you might be subject to CFPB supervisory authority because you are engaging in something that could be risky to consumers, you need to know that it is also possible that the director is going to publish the name of your organization as well as some other information. And this new announcement tells us the standards that will be used to make that decision. And lastly, from the OCC, we had a revision of their civil money penalty manual. Now, this is an examiner's manual that the examiners use as a guideline if they are going to be imposing a civil money penalty, gives them some idea of how much they should impose. It's not set in stone. They do have some leeway, but it gives you an idea if you have violated certain rules, what kind of penalties you could be looking at. So that's it for our November list. I will look forward to talking with you towards the end of the year.